So Catlin, oh, that's
Yes.
yes.
Okay.
Okay. So people are basically familiar, but George Catlin um, he started out as a lawyer and kind of a struggling portrait painter in Pennsylvania, and he sort of embarked on this new career journey in the early 1830s, where he became inspired to travel out west into Indian territory, and he wanted to paint the portraits and paint the landscapes and the customs of Native American tribes. So he set out in 1832 and was out for 6 years, immersing himself in these Native American tribes. And this is, if you're a history buff, you'll remember that the Indian Removal Act was passed in 1830. So this is a point in time where there's sort of this realization that the way of life for these people is changing drastically, very quickly. And Catlin was aware that these people were in danger of being decimated, and he wanted to capture their culture and their traditions and depict them before that happened. He's unique to some extent in white painters of Native Americans at this time, because he really did take care to individualize his subjects and paint them as, very human and realistic and with personal details, whereas a lot of depictions at the time were very stereotypical and depicted the sort of stereotype of the savage. But at the same time,
we'll add a big however here.
Right. Yeah, when we look at Catlin today, it's really hard to not see him as fairly exploitative, in that, he was certainly, he had a commercial goal in mind. He very much wanted to make money off of his artworks. And, sort of responses from Native people varied. Some wanted their portraits painted, others did not, and they felt like that was culturally damaging. Mm-hmm. So it's a complicated legacy for sure.
Right. This artwork that we see here on the slide, it's actually not in Sam's collection. It's in our sister museum's collection, the National Portrait Gallery. As Phoebe said, we share a building with them. And so if you walk into our galleries, there is a Catlin room, and this painting by William Fisk of Catlin is hanging in that room. And, you see the white artist there. And so you look at the clothes that he's wearing, and you can see the kind of cultural appropriation and in many cases misappropriation that is happening.
Yes. Absolutely.
So speaking of misappropriation,
well, yes, we wanted to look at one of Catlin's works in our collection. And we're not going to go out to a Google Doc this time, just for the sake of time. We'll ask you, though, to share in the chat box, what do you see going on in this picture? I'll give you guys a minute to type and also to look. So again, the question is just what do you think is going on in this picture? Opposition. Interesting. So modernizing of Native Americans. Split screen.
I like split screen. No one's ever quite put it that way, but I like it.
Yeah, so we do sort of have this line down the center of the painting that's dividing it into two. And opposition, we have two figures with their backs to each other. Okay, civilizing in quotes. I don't know if everyone heard this announcement at the beginning, but you can change the settings on your chat box. Some people are sharing it to everyone, and some are just sharing it to us. So if you want to find that drop-down menu in your chat box to share it with everyone. So we've got the backgrounds are opposites. Yeah, so we've got, it can be a little hard to see, but on the left here we have, you could sort of, oh great, how do we do that?
Let's zoom in.
So we've got kind of a federal looking building, this white building on the left, and then what seem to be teepees on the right. Okay, different opinions. And sort of, there's this idea that somebody wanted the Native American to change. Mm. So yeah, what about these two figures? Let's look at them a little more closely. So we have a figure on the left who's wearing sort of traditional Native American garb, this ornate headdress, holding, it's a peace pipe, right? And then on the right, we've got this figure who's wearing sort of more European style clothing, almost sort of like a military uniform with these gloves and a fan and a top hat with a feather. Do we think these are two different people?
Oh, Marissa's saying the angles of the body are interesting. Absolutely.
Okay, yeah, and Christy says they look like the same. Yeah, so if you look in at their faces, this is depicting the same person. It's sort of a before and after, so we kind of got that with the split screen, I think. But this, if you want to put up the title,
yeah.
So this is Catlin's piece called We Jun Joan, Pigeon's Egghead, The Light, Going to and Returning from Washington, done between 1837 and 1839. So the story here, the painting is depicting this Assiniboine chief, The Light. So Pigeon's Egghead is actually Catlin's mistranslation of his name, so that it remains in the title, but The Light is a better translation of the chief's name. So he encountered Catlin on his way to Washington, D.C. To meet with government officials to sort of lobby for his tribe. And again, this is after the Indian Removal Act, so this is a sort of a critical moment for leaders of Native American tribes all over the country. And then the story goes that Catlin re-encountered The Light returning from Washington, and he was dressed in sort of this European style clothing, and had been given these gifts by the people he met in Washington. So from Catlin's perspective, he's depicting this sort of as a corruption, right? This is a negative transformation for him, because he sees Native Americans sort of as this tragic, romantic group of people that were disappearing and being corrupted by the white European influence. So his perspective on this is that this is sort of a tale of lost innocence, lost morality, and it, I think it's hard to say whether The Light would have had the same perspective on this transformation.
And that's one of the problematic things about Catlin's work, that this is Catlin's, every individual that he's painting, while he did take care to express individuality, it is framed through the lens of this, white lawyer from Philadelphia.
Right,
so.
Exactly.
So both Christy and Marissa have talked about kind of like the body language, Phoebe, and what you were saying about kind of Catlin painting this as a cautionary tale. You know, the figure on the right is wearing these sort of like high-heeled boots and kind of leaning on the umbrella. I don't know if it's to stand upright. There are some liquor bottles in the back pocket, so it does suggest like his body language there and just the angle of the body. Something's off kilter a little bit.
Right. And sort of the pink fan, like making him look sort of effeminate. And yeah, so I think we have to, the takeaway from this is I think we have to sort of interrogate when looking at paintings like this, who created it, what was their perspective, what was their frame of reference, and what could some other perspectives be.
Right. And so